Mary Beth-Stutzman and I are checking out some historic landmarks today. There's a few lighthouses located outside of Alpena. They're easy to get to, fun for families to explore. So today we're going to start off by checking out the old Presqu'île Lighthouse, which is behind us. So there it is. So tell us a little bit about its history.
Well, the old Presqu'île Light was built in 1840, long time ago, and it actually was only in operation for about 30 years. They found that it just wasn't high enough and the signal just wasn't getting out as far as it needed to warn the ships out in the harbor. So they moved to another lighthouse that we're going to see a little bit later on. But something interesting about lighthouses that most people don't know is that lighthouses aren't a unique American thing. They actually date back to the Hellenistic period and are really popular with the Roman Empire. So they've been around for a really long time. The first lighthouse in the United States was in the Boston Harbor by the original colony, long before we became a nation. And from there, they just developed all along the east and west coast and the Great Lakes area. Now, Michigan is unique in that it has more than 100 lighthouses still standing along its coastline, and that's more than any other state in the nation.
Yeah, that's a lot of lighthouses.
So we are very, very popular for groups to come and check out our lighthouses. And in the Alpena area, we have about 4 big ones that are really unique. This one being one. So it was built in 1840. It was decommissioned in 1871.
And you had told me something fascinating about this one. It's a little bit spooky.
Yes, it's supposedly haunted. So if you're into that kind of thing, it's a local legend. It is known that sometimes the light still lights up, even though there is no electricity, nothing going to the light that would actually allow it to light by physical standards that we are familiar with. But sometimes people swear that it still lights up, and it's the story that a previous lighthouse owner, keeper, named George Paris, passed away in the early 90s, and since then he has been keeping the light alive to let his wife know that everything's still okay.
Oh, well, that's a nice story. It makes it not as scary if that's the case.
It was even documented on the Sci-Fi Channel. I think it's run on the History Channel a few times. Some people don't believe it, but those who have seen it say after you see it, you're a believer too.
All right, well, so now we've seen the old lighthouse, but there's what they call a new lighthouse, so let's go check out that one.
Yeah, it's just about a mile up the road, really easy to get to, so let's take off.
Okay. So now we're here at what's called the new lighthouse, even though it doesn't necessarily look too new, and it also looks a lot taller than the old one.
Right, the old lighthouse is about 30 feet tall. The steps are hand-hewn out of stone. It's a real easy climb to the top. This one is a little bit of a different story. There are 130 steps to get to the top of this lighthouse. It's well over, the normal 3-story building that we're used to in our downtown area. Very tall. Some people get a little bit of vertigo when they're going to the top. That actually happened to me last week when I went up by myself, but it's well worth it. It's very fun, very safe. The steps are actually very pretty. They're steel and they have this intricate lace detail pattern. But this lighthouse took over for the old lighthouse. So this lighthouse was built in 1870 and started operating about 1871. And at that point, the lighthouse keeper from the old light came to the new light. This one was more powerful, could be seen from further away, was a greater signal or beacon of safety for sailors when it was getting rough out on the waters.
And when did it stop being used?
And it still is functional. In 1970, the Coast Guard automated the light. So there's power running to it. It can still work. However, we use GPS now. So we don't really need the lighthouses as much as we used to, but it still can function.
So if a family wanted to be able to take advantage of both the lighthouses, say for a day trip or something, how would you suggest they do that?
Well, it's perfect. It's perfect for a half-a-day trip, or you could make it a longer day if you wanted. All you have to do is pack a picnic lunch. Start at the old lighthouse. It's about 20 minutes north of Alpena. Super easy drive. Just go down East Grand Lake Road off of 23 North. Leads you right to it. Look for the gray propeller out by the driveway. And then when you're done climbing the light there and taking a look at the keeper's quarters, you head into the new light. And you can climb to the top, see. Sometimes you can see Canada Duck Island, which is
Really?
close to the Canadian border. Yep, on a clear day you can see it from the top of this lighthouse.
Oh, wow.
You can check out the keeper's quarters and the new 1905 house, which has been renovated and brought back to the period of when it was built. And you can get a deal, if you do both of them, you can get a deal on the admission price as well.
And a lot of exercise.
And a lot of exercise,
climbing all those
right.
stairs. All right, so now you know if you're looking for a half-a-day trip or a day trip, you can check out the old lighthouse, come down to the new lighthouse, maybe get a view of Canada. So if you and your family are looking for adventure sometime soon, come on down to the lighthouses.